All right, everyone, we are about to start with a toast. So please make sure you have available a glass of beverage, whether alcoholic or non-alcoholic. And hi friends on Zoom, if you are, thanks for coming in, and if you want to do the toast together with us, please feel free to get a glass of something on hand. Awesome, thanks Ken. There's Deepak, there's Jane. Dr. Su, Jane is on the Zoom. Jane Huang is on Zoom. Can you see her? All right, welcome everybody. If you all have gotten a glass of alcohol, or non-alcohol alcohol, right? We will begin today's event with a toast, right? It's great to see everyone back in SJC and a full dining hall again after the way COVID-19 has disrupted our lives and our way of being. Before we begin tonight's exciting formal program, we will, as I mentioned, begin with a toast to get us into a celebratory mode. So I like to propose a welcome back to many important people and stakeholders for St. John's joining us at the residence tonight. Right, we welcome especially the Musqueam elders, Elder Larry Grant and Mrs. Gina Grant, who has always been hospitable and warm to us who are guests on the unceded, traditional and ancestral territory of the Musqueam people. We welcome back our founders, the Johanneans, the alumni from SJU Shanghai. Right, as you can see, they are sitting here on this table. We also have Alex, who is an alumni of SJU Taiwan. We will not know that we have a sister college in Taiwan called SJU Taiwan. Right, Alex is there. We also welcome back supporters of the college, Denise and Ken. Say hi, Denise and Ken. Right. And we have also the privilege of welcoming back very let's not use the word, alumni of SJC from 2004 and 2005. Right, we have over here Karen and Jonathan, right, from the Sauder School. So any of you from Sauder, a lot of you might want to catch up with some of your eminent alumni, right, and their families here. We also welcome back Shams. Right, Shams was an important alumni because she was basically Demet's predecessor, and during COVID-19, she and Fabricio helped a lot in making sure the college stayed safe, calm, and healthy. And we also welcome another important supporter, Cheryl. Right, Cheryl, say hi to everyone. Yeah, hi. Yeah, okay. So we welcome back these stakeholders, friends, supporters, and visitors, and of course, welcome to all of you who are our fellow residents and brothers and sisters in having fun together, eating and living. So without further ado, let us raise our glasses, right? Raise our glasses, and then with one loud voice of unison, say cheers. Right, 1, 2, 3, cheers. Thank you all. And now I'll invite our MC, Demet, to begin tonight's events. Thank you.
Thank you, Edgar. So we begin with a nice toast, and then we're going to have some speakers coming up, and then we'll eat after that. So I'll start with just welcoming you again to the 2022 formal dinner, everyone. And I would like to begin by just acknowledging that we're gathered today on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam people. So my name is Demet. If you don't know me already, I'm an SJC resident here. I've been calling SJC my home away from home for 4 years. So I feel a bit very excited, but also very nostalgic tonight of my first year when we had the big formal dinners. And I'm super happy to have that bag and to see this whole dining hall filled with people. So that's very nice. So tonight I'll be your master of ceremonies, and I'll introduce you to our speakers in our program. But I want to start with just a few housekeeping items. So first one is, in case some of you don't know, or maybe you don't remember, you haven't been in here a while, We have washrooms located behind the dining hall if you go through this the store, and then over here near the social lounge too if you need to use them. And if you have trouble hearing me or any speakers, you can just let me know or let Stacy know, and then we can help out with that. And we also have some alumni and some other people joining us over Zoom tonight. So if you have any issues with the audio on Zoom, please let us know. And by writing in the chat, we'll be monitoring that. And also, I think we should have closed captioning enabled. So if you need to use that, then you can go ahead and do that too. And then lastly, please do make sure to add your ticket to the boxes over here, the red and the black box next to the champagne. So because before dessert, we're going to do a little raffle, and then you'll get some prizes based on, who we pick from those boxes. So yeah, those are the housekeeping items. Back to the program. So we have a programming, like Edgar was saying, full of very exciting news tonight, especially as we conclude our 25th year anniversary. So you'll hear a lot of 25 years of SJC projects coming up now. So stay tuned to hear about speakers about these. And then right after the programming, we're going to have the buffet dinner, and then we'll do the prizes before dessert. So to get our programming started, I would like to ask Elder Larry Grant, please to come to the podium and provide welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Are we all okay? Hey, CM to CIA, Ayasak, Musqueam, Denise and Musqueam. Block to Joanna, was Helix to Finas, Natomo, was free to eat the sauce, come with Musqueam. The stag, one of Joanna's, Kiapalano, set something need to follow the Helix dollar, the Mogalak, to lamps need you swinny. The to eat to know where I just was the say, want to know I the scholar one can see what's knowledge the Mokala, because me concert for eat to eat St. John's College, the to need to lunch new for eat to need to mock tummel. I just was the say some. Want to say I'm Larry Grant, the Musqueam elder in residence at the House of Learning here at UBC. Adjunct professor in the First Nations language program, but and I'm a descendant of the first people that were here to greet the first people on the ships from under the Spanish captain Narvaez and the English captain George Vancouver. And I want to raise my hands and welcome to all of you from wherever you have come from to be here today at St. John's College at UBC on the traditional, ancestral, unceded lands of the Hunt community speaking Western people. And it's really, really, truly my privilege to be here to do the land acknowledgement, especially on the 25th anniversary. I think there's a big gap between how long Musqueam's been here and how long St. John's has been here. It's something too also. It's very, very exciting news to people that subscribe to National Geographic. We have 3,500 years, a story in the making, and it's a reference to King Tut in the English domain or the Egyptian domain. 3,500 years ago, King Tut was buried, and that was part of their civilization. 3,500 years ago is when our people first came to this area as it was being formed after the Ice Age. So that, and our stories say this whole peninsula, this lower mainland, was a whole series of islands emerging from the sea. So our people have been here longer than the Egyptian people's civilization being celebrated for. So that's something I think that we need, that comparison when we see and we think of how long the Egyptian civilization has been, and we have been here much longer than that. So it's really, really important to understand that. And our lands are unceded. They have never been surrendered, never been sold, never been lost in battle. There's no agreement of occupation and no remuneration to the first peoples of this land, who still have an underlying right and title to the land. So it's, but it's really, really good to be here to see the diversity that we have in the alumni coming back and celebrating 25-year anniversary of St. John's College. So hi, I'm happy to see all of you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for the amazing welcome, Elder Grant. Now I'd like to call Dr. Edgar Liao, our assistant principal, for the podium for his talk.
Hi, it's me again, but I'm not here to talk about myself. I'm here to basically talk about two very special groups of people. One is, of course, our longtime benefactors, founders, and supporters, the Johanneans of St. John's University. So ever since the founding of St. John's College, the SJU Alumni Association have been the college closest supporters and founders. Before the pandemic, we used to bring 2 or 3 residents to meet them for their monthly dim sum. We call it the Johannean dim sums that take place in a restaurant in Richmond. Because of pandemic, it was no longer continued. But we are glad today to have so many of them join us today. Please give them a round of applause. And I know that for the entire year, Dr. Sophia Su, who is the leader and the head of the SJU Alumni Association, has been thinking about how to commemorate the special occasion of our 25th anniversary. And today she ordered and presented to us the flowers that you saw in the social lounge, right? And today I would like to invite her to come up and present a special Silver Jubilee plaque that she on behalf of the SJU Alumni Association would like to present to St. John's College. Dr. Su, please.
The flowers. Oh, it's okay. Hold up the photo op. Thank you.
All right, so Dr. Su is an amazing woman, lots of stories. So if you have a chance to, go and ambush her and talk to her, right? The second important person I would like to introduce and invite him actually to come and share with us a few words is actually Mr. Jonathan Lu, sitting over here. He is from MBA class of 2005, and between 2003 and 2004, he actually stayed in SJC as a resident among us. And actually, he got in touch with us last year, asking to give back to the college and wanting to do something for the college because, like for many of us, his stay in SJC was productive, constructive, and ultimately transformative. And after he has, make his way in life, become successful, he would like to give back to the college. So if you notice, the windows is different from what you remember, because right now you actually see that a whole installation has been installed. And this is the Johannean Windows in Time project, as we call it, and you actually have this visual depiction of St. John's College 25 years history from coast to coast, from the coast of Shanghai, SJU, to Vancouver, SJC. And this permanent exhibit will now be with us to mark our 35th anniversary. And Jonathan has kindly made a donation of $20,000 to the college, partly to pay for and fund this new project. So without any further ado, please welcome our alumni and our recently donor, Jonathan Lu.
Wow, it has been a long time speaking in front of so many people. Thank you. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. So it is a great pleasure for me to join St. John's College Founders formal dinner tonight. So my name is Jonathan Lu. So in 2003, I came to the Solar School of Business for my MBA education. So as you know, first year on campus accommodation is always competitive. And yet I was accepted as an international student and lived as a resident at St. John's College. Furthermore, with my grandfather being an alumnus of St. John's University, I was granted the financial assistance which I needed to attend school at that time. Here, I would like to thank you, my grandpa, even you left us before I came to Canada. So learning was hard due to the language barrier and the different education system in China. The first 3 months at the Solar School hit me like a suck punch. However, living at the St. John's College saved my life. So in the end, even when I balanced the 18 hours of a workload a day, I could always come back to my dorm and rely on two things: the soft bed and hot meal waiting for me. So after 3 months of hiatus, I enjoyed my new life at the St. John's College. I started to get comfortable. I invited my classmates for dinner, met people, chatted with other residents and the scholars at the dinner table. It was my first time I understood multiculturalism and the acceptance of different opinions and the views from the different parts of the world. So life at St. John's College helped me integrate smoothly into a new community and the country while being accepted with open arms. So now it's my honor to be a donor of the Johannean Window in Time project. So this project let us remember St. John's College's history, growth, accomplishments through last 25 years. It's a cultural reconnection with St. John's University history as well. So as both a resident and the descendant of a Johannean, I'm proud to make this double connection again and continue my family legacy, giving back to the community, being a role model, and leading by example for my kids. So this is just a simple of the beginning. I encourage all alumni to reconnect with the St. John's College while you visit and share your inspirational stories, while also choosing to continue to support the St. John's College Alumni Fund, which serves the emergency needs of St. John's College residents and enables the alumni engagement. So as those who came before us, we must follow in their footsteps to unite and shape a more inclusive future. For 25 years, St. John's College at the UBC has stood as an irreplaceable cultural asset. So thank you for joining us tonight to build on a new history of positive transformation. So St. John's College is a community that has contributed significantly to forming our distinguished multicultural community at UBC. It is now up to us to shape the course of St. John's College's future. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your encouraging and kind words and being an inspiration to us all, Jonathan. And as most of you know, or some of you know, this is actually my last formal dinner because I plan to, after the PhD is done, it's time to go home. So some of you are actually happy, but I hope that one day I will be able to follow in Jonathan's example and make a donation of about historian, so maybe $5,000 to the college, right? But ultimately, it's not how much you give, it is the connection that matters more. So when Jonathan got in touch with us last year and asked to donate, we actually didn't ask for any money because to us, what is important is not the money, but his story and his connection to SJC and his memories of the wonderful time that he had here. So as he has shared, he has this wonderful connection of this double relationship where his grandfather was a Johannean and he himself stayed here. Not many of us will have that kind of double connection. I'm sure almost all of us will have that special memories at the end of it. So many of you are new. This is your first and second month in SJC, but I hope that at the end of your stay here, you will have that memories, that networks, and that fond relationships that I and Jonathan and many others who have joined us on Zoom actually have. And next, I would actually like to invite Denise. Denise was a long time supporter and partner of the college. She was actually the brains behind the Johannean Windows in Time project. So I'll get Denise to come up and explain the concept and the work that was involved in designing and making this project materialize. So Denise.
So we're gathered here today to celebrate the 25th anniversary of St. John's College. I'd like to take a moment first to appreciate this beautiful space that we're in today and to express our gratitude to the Musqueam peoples who have generously welcomed us to be on their traditional and unceded territory. In 2013, SJC adopted the motto, "The world around our table," to reflect the college's role as a gathering place that nourishes both our bodies and our minds. So let's also take a moment to greet one another and appreciate the people that we get to spend a special evening with tonight. So if you haven't already met, say hi to everyone, shake hands. It's been a while since we've had such a big gathering, so it's really great to see all of you here in the dining hall. So 25 years ago, St. John's College UBC was established by the original Johanneans of St. John's University and St. Mary's Hall in Shanghai, China. SJC's establishment was preceded by the founding of St. John's University, Taiwan. So I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Sophia Xu, Mr. Stanley Kwok, Mr. and Mrs. Philip and Lily Wong, and Mr. Alex Peng, who are alumni from St. John's University, Shanghai, St. Mary's Hall, and St. John's University, Taiwan, as our longtime supporters of the college. I joined St. John's College in 2012 as the inaugural Johannean ambassador. During the 5 years in which I served in this role, I have had the privilege to spend time with many SJC residents and Johanneans in organizing dim sum events and social events. A delegation of the SJC residents traveled to Shanghai with some of our SJC staff to participate in the Johannean 11th World Reunion at the original St. John's University campus in Shanghai. And since then, SJC has expanded its mission to support academic programming as well as staff networking through the hot lunch events. All of these important moments of SJC's history are now captured in the window installation entitled Johannean Windows in Time. The inspiration behind this piece are the boats that are floating above us, which is the art installation created by UBC professor Gu Xiong in 2013, entitled Waterscapes Johannean Journeys. Each of these 1,000 paper boats were hand-folded, strung, and hung by college residents and also some members of the Johannean founders. And each of these boats actually contain handwritten messages and blessings for future generations of SJC residents and alumni, so many of you here. I wanted to also share, I recently returned from a trip from Boston, Massachusetts, which is the home of Harvard and MIT. When you walk along the streets of Boston, you can really feel a sense of pride and also a collegiate atmosphere throughout every corner of the city. St. John's University was founded by American Anglican missionaries in 1879. And during the first half of the 20th century, it was regarded as the Harvard of the East. It was a trailblazer in the development of higher education in China and a facilitator of cultural exchange between China and the world. I imagine if I could teleport back to St. John's University back in the 1900s, I would feel probably the same sense of pride and collegiate spirit there on campus. So on this occasion of the college's 25th anniversary, Johannean Windows in Time celebrates the college's Johannean roots, but also invites us to think about who we are and where we're going. Since 1997, over 2,000 residents from 120 countries have stayed at St. John's College. And through conversations around these dinner tables, each person brings a perspective and becomes a window that connects you to a different time and space. Windows also represent openness and opportunity. Whether you're a member of the Johannean community, the SJC community, or the wider UBC community, we're all gathered here because we value higher education and believe in its potential to mobilize change and spark innovation. The founding Johanneans brought with them their hopes and aspirations for the next generation of SJC Johanneans. As you look into the future, where would you like to go? What knowledge, friendships, and values did you gain at St. John's College that you want to bring on to your next destination? And what will you leave behind for those who will come after you on this SJC journey? So I'd just like to thank SJC Principal, Dr. Henry Yu, Assistant Principal, Dr. Edgar Liao, and also the SJC staff team, Stacy Barber, Joanna Yang, and Jenny Liu, who have been very kind and generous in inviting me to be part of this wonderful commemorative project. I would like to thank our donor, Mr. Jonathan Liu, for your generous support of this important initiative to mark these very important milestones of the college. And also to my collaborator and designer, Mr. Alan Xu, who turned our vision into a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. We would now like to invite our principal, Dr. Henry Yu, to present a token of appreciation to both Mr. Jonathan Wu as well as Ms. Denise. Right.
Okay. Come on up, Jonathan, please, and Denise. Just as a quick word, we're presenting something that actually is quite special in terms of guests who have contributed to the college, giving talks or leading workshops or doing. We give a bowl. And so a bowl it's beautiful in and of itself. And for those who have, Elder Larry Grant has received the bowl as a speaker. The bowl is both something that's practical, usable, that you can use to eat and remind yourself and others of your time here tonight or time here as a student. But the bowl also is a symbol of our thanks and gratitude for what you have brought and what you have shared around the table. It is also something that is an invitation to you that as long as you have that bowl, you can always come back again to share in the world around our table. So it's like in China, the iron rice bowl that you cannot break. And as long as you come back with the iron rice bowl, it's breakable. It's ceramic, please don't break it. if you do break it also, it doesn't mean you're not welcome back. So as my colleagues in English say, it's metaphorical. I'm a historian, we take it literally. It's like, but it's a metaphor. So hopefully, thank you, Jonathan, for your generosity. Thank you for being able to bridge actually in your own life and in your own career, those two aspects of our history. So you're a living Johannean in the sense of having a grandfather who graduated from St. John's University as an original Johannean, but also you making that connection and bringing it here along with our founders. And so thank you for your generosity. Also, it's not just a windows in time. So we have this beautiful legacy because of Denise and Alan and Jonathan's generosity in wanting to mark the 25th anniversary, but also it is a fund, the alumni fund, which I would also point out, is also a symbol of how the Johanneans, the original Johanneans who went through civil war, who went through many changes in their lives, who became refugees often, who only had what was between their ears as they fled war and conflict, that the education, that what they learned was what was portable, that they could bring all around the world, and that helped them thrive and survive wherever they went. But they also helped each other. That wherever they went, if there was other Johanneans there, that they would form associations, that they would have lunch together, that they would help new migrants and new refugees get settled. And that spirit, that Johannean spirit, is something that we are very proud of as having inherited that from them. And so the Johannean Alumni Fund is also about how we help each other in times of need. So one of the moments marked in the windows of time is the moment when St. John's residents rallied around their fellow resident, Rumana Monzur. And we had the honor of hosting Rumana as she returned to talk about, what it meant to her to have her fellow residents rally, and really advocate for her to be brought from Bangladesh back to Vancouver for our top eye surgeons to try to restore the sight that she lost. They were unsuccessful, and yet by bringing her back, by helping her complete her degree in political science, by helping her then get a law degree, she now works for the federal government as a lawyer. So to basically give the hope that what was done to her, the terrible violence that was brought upon her, would not stop her life, would not stop her career, that they would read to her, help her through the crisis that she was facing. And now, again, she's thriving with her daughter here. And so that is one of our signature moments in our history, in our 25 years. And so again, I want to thank Denise for helping us leave a permanent legacy on our windows, so that every time you gather here to eat, you can see our history, those who came before us, and those who will come after you. And so thank you to Jonathan for, again, marking this moment and marking that cycle of time. So, thank you. So let's follow the photo off. Thank you, Denise. Are we doing a picture?
Okay, thanks for the talks, everyone. Now I would like to call up Dr. Edgar, Liao and Johannean to talk about the SOTO survey and some results from that.
All right, I know you're sick of my face, but it's me again. All right, and of course, everybody, I'm Edgar, as you know, and
Hi everyone, I'm Joanna. I work at the college in the office. I'm the academic and finance manager. I work part-time, so that's why I don't always see many of you the way that Edgar sees many of you.
yeah, okay, that sounds wrong. Yeah. So since tonight's formal dinner marks the event of our year-long campaign to commemorate our 25th anniversary, we'd like to share you some insights from a research project that we actually have been doing for the past year.
Much shorter than Edgar. So in January, we received some funding from CTLT Scholarship of Teaching and Learning, and we wanted to explore whether or not living in this multicultural, interdisciplinary, international graduate college actually had an impact on one's graduate student experience here at UBC. And some of the questions that guided the project included.
So to what extent did living here at the SJC, an international graduate college and community, advance graduate student welfare and well-being? We also wanted to know if being here, right, offers a space for students to learn about global citizenship, intercultural fluency, professional skills, community building, and leadership skills. And finally, we were interested in identifying what were the mechanisms that exist or could exist to help facilitate a transformative learning experience, both at SJC and in UBC. And in this spring, we conducted 2 focus groups with about 30 alumni in Vancouver and overseas, including Jonathan as well. And we used these insights to inform a survey that went out to about 1,100 alumni on our mailing list in late August. And we had a response rate of 14% with about 150 survey respondents.
And many of you are researchers here, and you know that sometimes you have a hunch, but you need the research and the process to back up the hunch. So today we just wanted to share a little bit about the data, because as you know, data tells stories. If you must know because you're interested in quantitative research analysis, because I'm not, there was an actual PhD person who was assigned to this file to do analysis, and they used Spearman's row and Cronbach's Cronbach's alpha methods to test for statistical significance and correlation. So I feel like some people know what that means, but I don't. I just want to acknowledge that. There was also some like amazing stuff about reliability, as well as sigma tails. I'm not going to pretend to know what that means, but we wanted to share that some of the statistically significant pieces that came out of the data that came, and present that to you. And overwhelmingly, the data show that staying at St. John's has a positive impact on one's ability to finish one's graduate program. So Jonathan, you talked about the sucker punch in the first week or so being at Sauder, but here MBA. So actually being here at St. John's really does have a positive impact. And secondly, staying here has a positive impact on one's well-being.
And it is here in this very space in the dining hall that SJC had achieved its most transformative impact. Our study found that dining frequently with other residents here was the factor that achieved the highest degree of correlation with high levels of high well-being and having a positive graduate experience here at UBC. And looking across the table, I know that many of us are having this experience right now, and you may not realize how important it is until you leave this space. And when asked to reflect on their time at SJC, over 95% of the respondents said that what they valued and gained the most was gaining lasting friendships and networks. And in addition, our respondents agreed that living here provided invaluable opportunities to learn from people from different disciplinary, professional, and cultural backgrounds. And looking at the room again, everybody at the table is from a different country and from different disciplinary background, right? So that's, in a sense, corroborates the data.
And we will be working on a report that will be publicly available if you are very interested in Cronbach's alpha and coefficients and whatnot. But for me as a staff person, I'm interested in seeing how these insights actually inspire the way forwards in terms of programming, initiatives, and as well as we collectively shape St. John's future as we celebrate the 25th anniversary and think about the next 25 years. And from the data and our engagements, we know that we can do better to engage alumni more regularly. And looking at the alumni in the crowd, familiar faces, but also on Zoom, we know and see your interest in engaging with residents and this special community here at St. John's College. And conversely, we know that as much as alumni are interested in giving back, residents are interested in seeing what it's like to be on the other side. We also know the value in investing in the community, especially when it comes to peer-to-peer interactions within residents. And we know that connections are really well built through frequent meal sharing. And we also know that it's very important to honor our history. We're very fortunate tonight to have so many founding Johanneans here. And we acknowledge that it's important to think about where we come from and how we show up to this space, which is unceded Musqueam territory, and how our lived identities actually inform the ways we can connect and be community members for each other. St. John's College is a home to many of you residents here who eat and live on a daily basis, but it's also, from what I've heard from staff and students and faculty, it's a place that has a lot of heart, and that means a lot for staff, students, and faculty who don't live here. So I just want to acknowledge that it's really interesting as a staff person who doesn't live here to be able to show up and even rub shoulders with some of these thought leaders that you all are and you will become in your respective fields.
Right, so to everyone here, we hope that the stories that emerge from the data will inspire you to tune into this special community that we have in the SJC. And while you are here, as I've said a few times, I will encourage everyone to gather, connect, and share a meal together, right? And looking at to the next 25 years of St. John's College, all of us here are and will be committed to, as the table suggests, bringing people together to make the world better, right? And as in, for me, this, as you know, the last formal dinner for me, it should be an emotional moment, but people in my country are not allowed to have emotions, so no emotions. I would like to share how basically a lot of data corroborates with my own experiences here. Many of you are new to St. John's College, so a lot of my friends have graduated. Because of my time in SJC, I have actually gained more than 500-600 friends around the world. And while you may not notice this now, but when you graduate and leave and you travel around the world, you might find that you'll be able to find friends no matter where you go. So even if the people in the Middle East table are like laughing at Stingray because many of them are from the same place, when they go to other places, they will find friends. When I went to Scotland, I found friends. When I went to London, I found friends. Right? When I went to China, many of them brought me to eat duck, as if I have never eaten duck before. But this is one of the things you will gain, and the gift of having friends around the world, no matter where you are, because you have stayed here and learned to make friends. And yesterday, I went to have dinner with Ashish at Ashish's place. So many of you will know Ashish Chopra, the Chopra, right? The Cobra, I forgot. But he was sharing about how he actually missed this place. And sometimes it's only when you move out and you graduate and leave that you realize how much you miss this place. And he was sharing how one day when he was sitting in his room drinking his special chai, as you know, he was reflecting, what if this is just a dream? He could not believe that he actually had the chance to stay in a place that is so international and so multicultural. And he had to wonder whether he was actually living in a dream, in a sense that he could not, for a moment of time, he could not believe that there was such a place that he could find a home in. And, you know, so that in a sense is a kind of something that I will agree with, right? So you will find that many of the respondents that we talked to in the survey, they actually regret moving out from this place, and they do want to come back, but they can't because they've graduated, right? So in a sense, you will find that it is a sweet, happy, bittersweet moment when you discover that you leave and you realize you do not want to leave, right? So without any further ado, we'd like to, conclude our presentation. Yeah, and and then I think let's invite Demet back to bring us to the last stage of the program.
Yeah, thanks, Joanna and Edgar. Yeah, as Edgar was saying, it's the last speech, so we're almost ready to eat. I know we're like getting ready. So our last speaker is going to be Dr. Hannah Yu, our SJC principal. Thanks.
Okay, I am what stands between you and a meal, so I will keep that in mind and keep my remarks short. But I do want to do a few acknowledgements and thank yous. Don't drop it. I'm holding this because we're gonna have to do a toast. So I don't. First, I'd like to again toast and ask all of you. Hopefully, you haven't drained your glasses yet. Whatever you have, to again give a toast to our Johannean founders, and cheers and thanks for creating this home for us. Cheers. Thank you. I'd also like to acknowledge again Jonathan's family, as well as all the alumni who are joining us through Zoom and who will hopefully, others will see this in recording, and all the alumni to come. And again, you are what has made this a special home away from home for 25 years. You're the people through that study, I looked at it as well. The correlation significance was at 3 decimal places at 0.001. That's a sigma of a 3, which makes it very reliable, I hear. So one of the correlations really was that who you met here over dinner, what you shared, shaped your interdisciplinary outlook, the fact that you could see beyond your own discipline and what you were learning from your supervisors or from your classes or from your lab or from your department. That is something that people who don't live here, who don't have those chances, that interact primarily with people from their own departments, don't have. So as an interdisciplinary intellectual space, that's what we found from our alumni survey, that it was a place where people learned to be leaders. There was a high correlation that leadership, that learning that you actually can organize a committee, that you can organize an event, that you can actually lead a team or a group of people from all around the world to do one thing, whether it's to play volleyball or soccer in the courtyard, or just to organize an outing to go out to a restaurant, that you have the logistical ability to actually do that, which strangely enough was one of the questions. Did it make you more confident? And it did. Our alumni said it gave them the confidence to actually go in the workplace and to deal with people from other parts of the world. That may seem so trivial, but if you have not had the experience of actually helping organize a group of people from 10 different places around the world, you don't have the experience of organizing a group of 10 people from 10 places around the world. And therefore you have no confidence in your ability to do that. You don't know whether you can do it. So that's not a small thing. And our alumni have actually responded that this was one of the vital learnings that they didn't realize they had learned until they left. And until they had to actually be in workplaces that had people, 10 people from 10 different parts of the world, and they had to actually work together. So again, our thanks to the alumni. So a toast to our alumni for helping shape St. John's. Cheers to, cheers. Lastly, I would like to thank our staff, Stacy, Joanna, Jenny, Yuki, and Alice, who have joined us. All the staff, the folks from housing, who actually keep this place clean, who clean up after some of you who haven't learned yet to clean up after yourselves. Please clean up after yourselves. The people who keep to fix things, Chef Clarence and Chef Seifu and the staff of SJC Culinary Service who keep you fed and nurtured so that you can have these conversations. So to those who actually often behind the scenes keep this place going and who have made it this wonderful place to live, again, a toast to our staff and to Demet, to Edgar, for being the people who actually work closest with all of you to make it a great place, to Tala, to, again, the students who have led. So to staff and students, kanpai. Okay, a couple more things before you eat. It's been my honor. Edgar is leaving. We've tried to convince him not to go to Singapore, that it's better to stay here. His mother has won out, and so his mother has dragged him back to Singapore, but we will feel the loss. Edgar has lived here for almost his whole time doing his PhD. He helped a community get through COVID, along with Shams, along with Demet, along with all of you who were volunteers. But Edgar was the one who, organized meal deliveries for those who could not, leave their room because of quarantine. He was the one who was showing that concern of when people seem to be breaking, when being in your room day after day after day, for 7 days, for 14 days, that really did play on many people's mental well-being, emotional well-being, psychological. And again, Edgar was the one who really made sure that we in the office, didn't forget that there were people who we needed to drag out of that room, that if we needed to buy volleyball nets and volleyball balls and sort of spray them down and create and go to risk management at UBC and convince them that we weren't going to kill everyone here by allowing volleyball and getting them out of their rooms, that was worth doing. It was not easy. I just want to say, convincing risk management during a pandemic to allow SJC residents to play volleyball, it sounds as trivial and stupid as it just sounded there when we went to ask, but because of the importance of maintaining some kind of social life and community, that's why it was done. And so I wanted to raise this because, again, that's a way of thinking about what it means to live here. We've got these two tables. They're actually tables, but we nailed to the wall, so no longer tables. But those round tables, so one basically is there with a saying that actually is not our official motto, but has really come out of our reflections after 25 years of what has been one of the outcomes of having a college founded by our Johannean founders here, which is bringing people together to make the world better. That world may be just the world around your table, literally, as you're having a meal. And it's a better place than sitting in your room and eating by yourself. That's already making the world better by bringing people together. So just sharing a meal, talking, learning about each other, sharing about yourselves. It also extends to, I mentioned Rumana Manzoor, but at this present moment, those struggling for women's rights in Iran, that those kinds of struggles are on our mind, even here. That is something that, for those of you who come from there, for those of you who have relations, who are protesting, you're worried about, that you bring this to our table, that those you share that with is also sharing the burden sometimes of worries, of stresses that you have. And that is who we are as well. And so I want to, again, say how special it has been for me and to thank those who've helped build this place. Edgar, who is leaving soon, but the staff who have been here for some of them for decades. Clarence, Chef Clarence, should really be retired, and his wife should be like on a beach somewhere in Thailand. But Clarence would wake up every morning during the pandemic and drive to Costco because we weren't getting food deliveries anymore. So in order to make sure that our residents could have breakfast, he was going and filling up a large cart of food so that the SJC residents could eat. Clarence was a chef at a 5-star restaurant in Singapore and a hotel, the Meridian. And he came here and he's now devoted decades of his life. He's one of the longest standing people who've worked here because he believes in this, in feeding people from all around the world to use the skill, Chef Seifu, we also brought from Singapore, so that you can have meals and that some of you can recognize and go, this reminds me of home. And then the other 95% of people going, this is so strange. I've never eaten anything like this before. But then the next night it'll be switched. One of the other people who don't recognize what this is may feel at home. So you're going to take turns feeling at home. And you're going to take turns feeling like you've never eaten anything like this before. And that's who we are. And that's what makes this a special place. And that's what we celebrate tonight. And so as we ask Clarence and Chef Seifu and his staff to bring the food out, I hope that you can reflect on how lucky it is that we are here. How lucky it is that we are in this beautiful building with the boats above us, with now the window displays, with the tables where we're going to put the photos we took of you. We're going to have photos of alumni. We're going to use those tables to mark again the world around our table. How thankful I am for having Elder Larry Grant and Gina Grant be a part of this, to have given welcomes at our 25th anniversary now, 20th anniversary, 15th anniversary, that every time we have formal dinner, they make sure that they'll come and again, welcome all of you from around the world to this place. So thank you. And so a toast again to all of you who have helped create this. My thanks as principal to all of you. My thanks to the people who have made it, who continue to be it. Cheers.
Thank you so much, Satu, for the beautiful speech. Okay, time to eat now. So we'll start with these 3 tables in the front first to get from the buffet, and then we'll keep calling up tables in a bit. So we can get started.